The 49ers are circling the wagons, and we will too. Another loss, that's three straight. And they're 2-3 entering the bye week. And you know what? It's a good time for a bye week. And Monday was also a good time to take a little break off of social media because, totally normal NFL stuff, right? You have 17 weeks in this regular season. You're going to have wins, you're going to have losses, you're going to have criticism, you're going to have problems of a team to address. But the fact that everybody these days finds a compulsion to have a take for every single small thing. And it has to be some kind of profound take that judges the 49ers' fate for 2022 and beyond. It's just so irritating. So, deep breath, everybody. 49ers lost to Arizona. It wasn't pretty on the offensive end. There was a lot to be excited about, I think, on both sides of the football, especially on the defensive end. But deep breath after that third straight loss. We still have 12 of these games to go, right? And we still have this bye week to go. And we don't even know who's healthy in the quarterback room right now because both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo are currently in the trainer's room. I mean, there's so much to sort out. It's okay to take a deep breath after some of these games, pick up the pieces on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or the Thursday after. I mean, you have more time than ever now because it's the bye week, and it's okay to approach the next one rationally instead of having to fire everybody tweets and proclaim Trey Lance the starter after he's one of the least efficient quarterbacks in football on Sunday. And that's nothing against Trey. I thought there was a lot of impressive stuff that he did. But the fact of the matter is the 49ers offense was disjointed. They're still very happy to have Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, to have both quarterbacks. And they've just got to cross the next bridge when they get to it. They have to figure out who's healthy enough to play for them. Hopefully it's both against the Indianapolis Colts. And hopefully, for the 49ers' sake, they can find a way to put together the most efficient performance possible on the offensive end against Indianapolis, because that's what it's going to take to right this ship. And guess what? The 49ers are one win away from being 3-3 with 11 games to play. I hate having to bring this analogy up every single time, but in moments like these, I have to bring it up again. The NFL season is a long novel. There are 17 chapters. The 49ers haven't fared well, or the most recent three chapters haven't ended well. But the 49ers have actually fared well in certain facets of the game. And it's a matter of situationally fixing what they need to do moving forward, because the efficiency metrics tell you everything. This is still the number 10 DVOA team in football, despite all the troubles. That means the 49ers still have potential. The season is far from over. It's not time to punt the season yet. And that's why I'm bringing you this video, to kind of bring some context to everything. I want to go through my keys to the game for Arizona to evaluate how well the 49ers handled these keys. First one, find production outside of Deebo Samuel. Entering the game, because George Kittle had been moved to IR, the 49ers had Deebo Samuel with 490 receiving yards, leading the NFL. And their next leading receiver was Mohamed Sanu with 78. Brandon Ayuk had only 58. It was a huge balance issue, and I think that issue still remains. The 49ers failed in this facet of the game. Yes, you had a nice catch and run from Brandon Ayuk to convert a second and long after that, one of those crazy string of holding penalties, which definitely was a problem. That shows that cohesiveness on the offensive end is something that the 49ers have not yet attained. And we'll get into that a little bit later. They did have playmakers overcome some of those issues. I thought Trey Lance did a lot to overcome some of those blocking O-line issues. But still, there wasn't enough of that from guys not named Deebo Samuel, who, by the way, was playing in the backfield as a tailback when he took that sweep and scored the 49ers' lone touchdown of the day. It is Brandon Ayuk's time now. I mean, the 49ers need more of what they saw in that 1 second and long catch and run for him. Ayuk finished with 2 catches for 32 yards. Kyle Juszczyk, though, was more productive than Ayuk in the passing game. 3 catches for 35 yards. Mohamed Sanu was the 49ers' second leading receiver available entering that game at Arizona. Only 2 catches for 19 yards and a bad drop. I don't care how wobbly that pass was from Trey Lance on third down. Mohamed Sanu is a professional veteran receiver. You have to catch the football when you're open. And, situational plays like that, the failures there, they doomed the 49ers. Some of it was Trey Lance's fault. The short game is not where it needs to be, but so much of it was the fault of drops. I mean, 3 drops on the game, including that critical one to Mohamed Sanu. So much of it was the fault of penalties, the holding penalties, all of those things derailed the 49ers. And because of that, they need to still find that production outside of the one player who's been consistently good on the offensive end, and that's Deebo Samuel. So they failed the first key against Arizona. That was a big reason why they scored only 10 points. Second key was to max out DB play. I really think the 49ers did this. The Cardinals came into that game leading the league with 35 points per game. They were number 3 in pass offense DVOA. They're number 6 in overall offense DVOA. And the 49ers held them to half their output. That was a great performance from the 49ers defense. I thought Josh Norman did all he could against DeAndre Hopkins, just got beat on that final touchdown. I mean, but it would help if the 49ers offense had put up more than 10 points in this game. You wouldn't be looking so much at the fact that Jimmy Ward got beat by DeAndre Hopkins or that Josh Norman got beat by DeAndre Hopkins. Guess what? DeAndre Hopkins beats people. Kyler Murray beats people throwing to DeAndre. That's the modern day NFL. It's geared toward the offense. So whenever you hold an offense that had come in scoring 35 a game, that had lit up the Rams a week prior, whenever you hold them to 17 in their house, think as the 49ers defense, you're doing a good job. And to do a good job, they had to max out DB play. Guess who is playing very well right now and continues to play very well, even though he had gotten exposed by some of Arizona's receivers before? Emmanuel Mosley, pass break up in the end zone. The 49ers have to be satisfied with the cornerback play they're getting right now. And that's one of the biggest things that illustrates where this team is at right now as far as their mentality moving forward. The bottom is not falling out of this defense from underneath it. And the fact that it isn't, the fact that this defense is actually playing very solidly is a testament to the pass rush, which obviously is getting home. I think the pass rush is doing a good job. They got the Kyler Murray. I mean, when you count the sack yardage, they held Kyler Murray to 1 rushing yard, which is huge. But it's also a testament to the fact that the cornerback position is not the complete disaster that a lot of people swore that it was not too long ago. In fact, the 49ers are playing, between Mosley, between Josh Norman, and the fact that they did a good job in the slot. Dante Johnson forced that one takeaway that they really, really needed at the end of the game. All those things combined have led to this defense patching stuff together and looking more than decent, more than capable. And that, within the context of the whole team, means that the 49ers have a certain floor. I mean, if your defense can give you consistent play week in and week out, the bottom is not dropping out from underneath the football team. And that all lends itself to the overarching examination of where do the 49ers go from here. There's a social media, push to say, oh, just punt the season, develop all the rookies, and don't worry about anything else. Sorry, guys, that's not how the 49ers are thinking of this. And that's not how the 49ers should think of this. The 49ers are a balanced team right now. When you look at efficiency throughout the course of the season, they've had blemishes offensively. They continue to have those blemishes offensively. They've had blemishes defensively, but those are ones that they're repairing. And it's a long 17-game season, so they have to figure out how to be balanced and as efficient as possible on both sides of the ball. And when one side of the ball has shown the promise, the kind of promise that the defense has shown, you try to play catch up with the other side of the ball, which has some talent. I mean, we're talking about Deebo Samuel. We're talking about what Trey Lance can bring to offense. We're talking about the efficiency that Jimmy Garoppolo can bring to offense. And we're talking about the untapped potential still of guys like Brandon Ayuk this season and potentially of George Kittle when he comes back from IR. If you harness all of that, you give yourself a shot. And if you give yourself a shot over the course of a 17-game season, you can make noise into January and potentially into February. The thing that you can't do is completely write everything off 5 games in when there are clearly building blocks that the 49ers have satisfied. And one of those is the one of the key that I have up on the screen right now. They did max out the DB play. It was cohesive with the pass rush against Arizona. More good defense from the 49ers moving forward if it can be paired with an efficient offense, which was key number 3. That means the 49ers can execute complementary football and win some more games. They did not execute complementary football against Arizona because they scored only 10 points. However, they did move the ball a little bit. That helped the defense. But it's about executing at the margins. 4 of 16 combined on third and fourth downs, not going to cut it for the 49ers. Not getting into the end zone is not going to cut it for the 49ers after that long drive with Trey Lance. I mean, these are things they have to fix to execute complementary football, because I'll tell you what, if that defense has either a lead or if they're not woefully behind, 10-0 is tough. You're on the road, 2 possessions behind. That defense is going to be able to dig in and do even more dominant stuff. And I thought in this game against Arizona, the defense single-handedly did keep the 49ers in that game. I mean, it was 7-0. Probably should have been a safety if the holding call was called correctly in the end zone. Should have been 7-2. Dante Johnson strips out the ball from Chase Edmonds later in the game. That set the offense up for success, but complementary football was not attained. 49ers moving forward have to do that. I just don't think that they're all that far from being able to execute it. They outgained the Cardinals in their own house, but it's the situational ball that the 49ers have to improve upon. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo is important to this team. And I still think that's why Trey Lance is so important to this team. And that's why it's unfortunate that both of them are in the training room right now. But I'm going to do a separate video on this. The mix and match is something that's going to have to work for the 49ers this year, because Trey Lance is explosive yet raw. Jimmy Garoppolo is not explosive, but he's definitely not raw. He's got some polish. He's had success in third down situations. You take the strengths of Garoppolo, you take the strengths and potential of Lance, you meld them together, you do exactly what you wanted to do when you're in the preseason of the 49ers. And I think that you can execute complementary football. I don't think it's too big of an ask for this team. And I think we've seen flashes of it. So let's move forward. Let's see if the 49ers can lick their wounds. And let's see if they can move to 3-3 out of the bye week against the Colts, doing exactly what Key 3 says. Key 4 for the Arizona game was throw deep with Trey Lance to help loosen up the defense, help get Trey comfortable. This was obviously something the 49ers came out trying to do. Everybody was wondering, why is Travis Benjamin playing? Well, he's the 49ers' fastest wideout. And he started the game, but then he didn't play all that much later in the game. But it was really clear that the 49ers wanted to punch Arizona in the face with deeper concepts early in that game. To the Cardinals' credit, I think they're ready for them. To the criticism of the 49ers, I don't think the 49ers pass protection is ready for many deeper concepts. I mean, those guys were getting beaten up front, but it was clearly a focus early in the game to let Trey Lance uncork some deeper throws, some deeper concepts to get his strengths on display. What's really, really clear, especially after watching that loss at Arizona, is that our scouting report on Trey Lance coming out of training camp was perfectly accurate. Trey's short game is definitely not as developed as his longer improvisational game. When you let Travis Benjamin run some deeper routes, when you try to take the top off the defense, you do let Trey Lance improvise a little bit, right? You do let him just play a little bit more backyard football if he has to step around, run around a little bit, because he's not firmly comfortable in the pocket yet. There's unnecessary movement there. There are missed reads there. There are missed throws in the short game there. It's a big part of the reason the 49ers went 4 of 16 on third and fourth downs. You have to be able to execute the short game to be efficient, but we don't expect Trey Lance, with the limited experience at the FCS level, to be an efficient machine in those situations yet, which is why they wanted to hit on a few deeper throws early in this game. They got a pass interference out of one of the deeper outs. Other stuff wasn't as feasible, so I wouldn't say that this key was executed. But I do think that this key illustrates what the 49ers must be moving forward if they're going to be successful this year, at least in the short run, as Trey continues to develop. You're going to have to find that move the sticks efficiency that Garoppolo, I think, did well throughout the first 3 games plus 1 drive until he hurt his calf. He was actually the most efficient quarterback on third down in the league, which a lot of people are going to find crazy. It was surprising. You look at the chart, but Garoppolo had actually done well in those third down situations past the game's first 3 drives. Then he did well in the first drive against Seattle, but he hurt his calf, and the whole first half was a disaster for the 49ers past that point offensively. So they're going to have to harness some of that good that Garoppolo can bring. And don't let anybody be black and white about this. I mean, everybody wants to say Garoppolo all bad, Lance all good. Not true at all. Garoppolo has brought some efficiency to the team. He's also brought some maddening inconsistency to this team. While Trey Lance is bringing a lot of inconsistency, I wouldn't say it's maddening. I think it's expected for a raw rookie, but he's bringing potential explosiveness. He's bringing game-changing mobility. Kyle Shanahan's greatest coaching challenge to date will be melding those two. Something that he tried to do in training camp, something that he struggled to do throughout the first month of the season. Well, guess what? The 49ers are staring at 2-3. If they're going to get themselves back into the flow of things, Shanahan's going to have to successfully meld the two. And again, that's something that I'm going to talk about in a different video. Key 5 against Arizona was stars have to deliver. I don't think the stars really delivered. I mean, Deebo Samuel a little bit, right? Nick Bosa. Yeah, I mean, the defense delivered, but I don't think star caliber delivered on the offensive end. Kittle's on the shelf. Trey Lance, yeah, he's not a star. He's a rookie with a lot of potential. He did some things, but I mean, Trent Williams got called for holding. Mike McGlinchey got called for holding several times. The 49ers just weren't able to establish a systematic rhythm. They weren't able to load up the cannon and fire to deliver with star power. And that's something that Arizona did. I mean, it wasn't a great game for Kyler Murray. 49ers defense was in there, but you saw DeAndre Hopkins make a great play. He's a star for Arizona. I know Rondale Moore is probably not classified as a star, but he made some star-like plays. The Cardinals went out and made plays where the 49ers, outside of a couple exceptions, didn't make those, game-changing plays in this game. So I don't think that the Stars delivered. But I do think that the 49ers have been an efficient team on the aggregate. They've shown the ability to do good stuff offensively, and the defense has obviously shown the ability to deliver a complete game, which they did, holding Arizona to 17 points. So it's a matter of turning the corner for the 49ers, finding that situational success that will make things happen. Now, at a certain point, you become what your sample size says. At a certain sample size, you become what your track record says that you are. So through a small sample size, 5 games so far, it's not big yet, we know that the 49ers have been inconsistent situationally, but overall efficient on the aggregate when you actually look at and track the overall production. We could still chalk up a lot of the 49ers struggles to injuries, small sample size, whatever. But with each subsequent game, you get closer and closer to the critical mass of sample size that says, if you are still struggling at this sample size, you're just a bad football team or you're a mediocre football team. If you can't, piece it together situationally after X amount of games, if you've had so many chances to do it and you still can't, perhaps that's the story here. But the narrative is not yet the story. The 49ers are 2-3 and they're trying to figure things out. The actual evaluation of the 49ers will come with time, and we have to be patient with it. But they failed in the keys that I've given over the past 3 weeks. Yes, they've satisfied some of them, but they haven't gotten all of them. And you have to nail the keys to win in the National Football League. Otherwise, you're going to suffer tough losses at the margins. And that's what happened with the 49ers. That's the summary of the team right now. It's not, I get it's tough for people to sit there and not be able to point fingers at one person. Oh, it's the coaching. Oh, it's the quarterback. Oh, it's Mike McGlinchey or this, that. No, it's a combination of everything. Shanahan hasn't been up to par. I mean, he's running Trey Lance into the ground. I've been more critical than anybody during the game and after the game. A 21-year-old rookie shouldn't be getting 16 carries plus all the hits that he's taking as a passer. And, to me, it's no coincidence that Trey Lance is hurt right now because the game plan was way, way too Trey Lance run heavy. But Shanahan wanted to win the game, and that's what Trey Lance was most comfortable with doing from North Dakota State. And he's still very raw, and the 49ers obviously don't trust him in a lot of these pure passing situations because he's dancing around the pocket, he's missing reads, he's inaccurate, he's got a big windup on some of these short throws. Yeah, so while he's doing very impressive physical stuff, and while he's turning some of this movement into big wow plays down the field, he's not efficient on the aggregate, so Kyle Shanahan feels that he has to play to Trey Lance's college running strengths. And unfortunately, these aren't defenders from James Madison. Isaiah Simmons is a grown NFL man. And Isaiah Simmons collided along with some other Arizona defenders with Trey Lance at the goal line. And that was a brutal NFL hit. And you have to limit those if you're the 49ers. So I don't think Shanahan did a great job. I don't think Trey Lance is ready to be fully efficient yet. I do think the 49ers defense blinked a couple times. And I do think that the drops were terrible from Mohamed Sanu down to, dropped execution on blocking assignments. So those holding penalties put the 49ers way behind schedule. I just listed 5 or 6 problems, and there are many more that you can go through. But it's not simple. You can't just say fire one person and expect everything to fall in line. The good news is that despite the plethora of problems, the 49ers have enough talent to have remain efficient overall. And generally in the NFL, if you can fix one thing, one key thing, it could lead to a domino effect of other stuff being fixed. So the 49ers, they might get Garoppolo back. They might get Trey Lance back. They might finally be able to put their two quarterback thing into fruition where they use Lance correctly situationally moving forward. And if that does happen, they can look a whole lot better at the margins against the Colts. I think a big step of progress was the Dante Johnson strip, but this team is still number 31 in takeaways in the league. They held on to the football well against the Cardinals, aside from the Trey Lance interception. So you have to build on that. I mean, they weren't turning it over, giving the ball away multiple times per game as they did the week prior against Seattle when Jimmy Garoppolo threw an interception and Trenton Cannon fumbled the kickoff. So long story short, you got to make it work if you're the 49ers at the margins. So don't confuse lack of margin production with lack of aggregate production. Aggregate production is there between the defense and the offense making some plays, but margin production hasn't been, even for the defense, which only has that Dante Johnson strip on top of the Dre Greenlaw takeaway, pick six in week one. You have to find the opportunities within those weeks, which the defense hasn't been opportunistic enough. So it's a situation where the 49ers need to prove themselves soon, but I definitely think that they're capable of doing it moving forward. And that's the NFL. It's a week in, week out league. Week out leagues. The 49ers must cross the next bridge when they get to it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get into more specifics on the quarterback breakdown video. Everybody take care.